Getting hearing aids for the first time is a learning process for both hearing aid wearers and their families. Audiologist Paul Ashbrook explains.
A lot of times folks with getting hearing aids for the first time, it's a very traumatic thing for them. It really is, and they're kind of scared at first. But a lot of times the family members or spouse or caregivers really don't know how to react to the person who has hearing aids. It's very simple. First off, you have to be patient with them. There's still going to be times when they're going to say what or huh for a while because it's become a habit. Their brain is getting trained to hear again with the hearing aid. So they have to kind of work through all of these different things. And what or huh is one of those issues. So the brain is trying to make sure, is what I heard actually what I heard? After a while, when the brain knows that's what I'm hearing, the what and hahs will kind of go away to a degree. A couple other issues. Sometimes people with hearing aids, the spouse or family member or someone who knows they have a hearing aid, for some reason will have the tendency to want to talk louder to them when they have the hearing aid. No, you don't need to talk louder to them. The key is just kind of having an easy pace with your speech and being as distinct as possible. That's the key for them, the hearing aid wearer, to be able to hear well and better. Also, try to get the person's attention when you're talking to them. Don't turn and walk away and talk and try to think that they're going to be able to hear that very easily. That's hard for people even with normal hearing to be able to do. So be aware of the person who's wearing hearing aids for the first time and just kind of be patient with them. It's going to take time. It's a learning process for them, but it's also a learning process for you. Some of the materials that we give out to patients have a little bit of those guidelines of things that patients can teach other people to do to help them in hearing better with their hearing aids. Seating is very important as well. If you're a husband and wife, don't sit behind your husband or wife. Sit up next to them. So that they can hear you a whole lot easier when different things are going on. So the key is just be patient. Give the person with hearing aids a time to get used to wearing these, because it is a learning process.
I think that's a good point, too, that the assumption is, okay, now you have a hearing aid, now you're supposed to be able to hear me, and just reprogramming the brain for that.
And it's not going to be perfect. We're not giving a person back what God gave them to start with, no matter how good a hearing aid we ever make. We're helping them. We're aiding them into hearing better. But it's not going to be perfect. We're not correcting the damage that's there. We're trying to get around the damage the best we can so that the brain can do what it's really designed to do in terms of hearing. So it is a process. So the patient should not get too anxiety about this process. Neither should the caregiver. Don't expect them to hear perfectly right out of the gate. It's going to take time. So we all have to kind of work together in this process.
You're talking a little bit about range, and that made me curious. Is there an issue behind somebody that it's harder to hear?
Typically it is. I mean, if we look at our ears are kind of shaped coming forward so that sound can be kind of collected from the front. Yes, we can still hear things behind us, but it's a little more difficult. Most of the things that we want to hear are typically, hopefully, in front of us. So even hearing aids are designed to where the microphones, more often than not, are typically going in a little bit more forward direction. Even though we can still pick up some stuff behind us, there's still blind spots. Kind of like when you're driving, there's that blind spot behind you. There's still going to be blind spots with your hearing as well. So getting the person's attention, looking at them, getting them to look at you can make such a world of difference for the person who's learning how to hear again.
And for that person learning how to hear again, should you be insulted? My grandfather used to do this. After a while, he'd just turn off his hearing aid and tune us out altogether.
Well, luckily, a lot of the newer products are a lot harder to turn off that way. You kind of almost have to take the battery out to completely turn it off. But, yeah, there are some situations where I've heard of patients actually doing that to kind of drown everybody out to a degree. But the key is just getting used to hearing all the things you're hearing and letting the brain do what it's designed to do. The brain hears better than anything we would ever be able to design physically. Because the brain, is amazing how it can detail down to the smallest little increment a sound. It's really pretty neat. We're just giving the brain a chance to learn how to do those processes again when we give folks back those sounds. So be patient, whether you're the person with the hearing aids or the caregiver or spouse with someone who just now has hearing aids. So just be patient.
And if you'd like more information, you can call 877-610-4327. And we'll be right back.